to the bone, to the bone.
That's right.
Hey, how are you?
Your handshake as you're rushing by. And I kind of have Saya, but here we go. Yeah.
Brian, how are you, sir?
I'm good. Oh, I'm better. No, I'm just good.
Notice if,
Those are your.
oh, they're not.
Hey, I wonder if he noticed
He wouldn't notice.
if I traded them.
Included or whatever is provided.
Oh. Yes, let's see. Put those away under,
Let's see. Oh, hello, Chief.
Closing comments. Hi, Chief.
Oh. I read it twice.
Where was this Friday?
Kid you not. I've got 2 pages of notes.
Well, hi.
Oh,
I'm Diane
yeah.
Johnson, and you
I know what it is now.
welcome. We're
Yeah,
glad you're here.
we got through about 700 pages. Summarized. Opening comments, or excuse me, Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
You okay with that?
Great, thank you.
Grab my pencil. I think Ann is going to
You swap me?
introduce me.
I swear I had M&Ms. You take my M&Ms?
the guilty one
It's fine.
to the right.
Who t- Eh,
What was that?
Somebody took my M&Ms. It's okay. I would've- was it you? If you did, it's totally fine. Because I steal enough of your snacks,
I know it.
so it's only fair.
I'm getting even.
Okay,
We can do that. We can do that.
Here, you can, I brought an extra pack.
You're
for
too
you.
kind. You're too kind.
Well,
Okay.
I'm a
Well,
nice
we'll split
guy.
those. We'll split those. Don't worry. I'm all about.
I had to tell him.
I know.
I couldn't live with the guilt.
Hey, it's okay. I was. Well, I
Makes you laugh.
thought I was having
Second
a
guesses
stroke
them.
because I'm like, I swear it was M&Ms.
You ready? Thank you. Okay. I'd like to welcome everybody out to the Roy City Council meeting for September 16th. The time is 2025. The time is now 5:31. I want to welcome and recognize that we have Councilmember Saxton, Councilmember Paul, Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Wilson, and Councilmember Scadden. And we're welcoming junior or student Councilmember Aaron Davidson. So thank you, Aaron, for being with us tonight.
You're in
That's
for a
great.
treat.
Okay, we've asked Councilmember Wilson if she would go ahead and lead us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. Diane?
If you would please have a moment of silence. Thank you. If we'd please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Diane. Okay, this is our public comment period. If you have something you'd like to share with us, any topic, please take a moment and step up to the mic and just give us your name and your address, please. Anything. We got 4 minutes. Thank you.
Steve Harris, 2190 West, 4300 South. couple of comments and maybe a question or two.
Could you just be a little closer to the microphone, please? Thanks.
Steve Harris, 2190 West, 4300 South. Okay, is that good?
That's good.
Okay. I received this, your flyer in my utility bill on the 10th of September, and I don't understand, I guess a question or a comment is, why the city council July and August, why not the city council agendas for September and October? Is there some reason why we're looking at old news? I guess I don't understand why July and August is in the September flyer. That's one question.
Let me just be clear. I don't want to take away your time. So ask your comments, questions. At the end, we'll see if we can't provide at least a response. But it's your 4 minutes, so share what
Okay,
you'd
well,
like.
that's one question. Why do we have old news when the agenda for the next meeting could be in the flyer instead, so people know what's coming up?
Okay.
I guess is one question. The other question I have is on the budget that you show on the back. I understand, or I think I do, I try to. If I added up correctly, if my third grade math is correct, it says $28 million. Is that just from the property tax? I see here it's property tax, sales tax, and fees. Does that include the amount received from our monthly payments to the utilities and all of that? Does that include in this budget? That's another question.
Okay.
And if not, if it's not included in there, how does that money be accounted for? How does that money from our payments to the utilities, how is that accounted for? The receipts, the disbursements, where does that show? Okay. The other question I have, I think I understand what the police and the fire, that's mostly salaries, I'm assuming, salaries and equipment perhaps. But you have a statement here that says transparency in this process helps build trust and ensures that your city's government is working properly. I went through the rest of the items here and I didn't understand a lot of them, some of them, and I have questions on pretty much all of them. And I guess my question is, who can I give my list of questions to that I can get answered?
Okay.
That's it.
That's it?
That's
Okay,
it.
thank you. Here's the city manager right there. If you've got an email address, let him take that from you.
Can I take this to him?
I think you should. And then just make sure we have contact information on Steve.
No address?
Well, we got to get back with you.
How about my address where I live?
If you want it in writing, or would you like an email? Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, anybody else like to share a thought?
Am I done?
I think you are. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
My name is Kevin Homer. I live at 5398 South, 4000 West here in Roy. A couple things I wanted to talk about just really quickly. Item H2 on the agenda for today has to do with a proposal, and y'all are going to have a discussion about term limits here in City of Roy. I want you to know that I very strongly support term limits, and I know it's a little bit like the chicken guarding the hen house to ask you guys to impose limits on yourselves, but hunker down, have an awesome discussion. Make sure you talk about it from all kinds of different ways. The paper that Mayor Dandoy provided for the group to look at is a very good outline for where to get started. If it doesn't happen from your actions, you can rest assured that there will be a voter initiative that will get it done anyway. So do your best, and you guys pass it, please. I would ask you to look at, on page 2, second paragraph, there was an explanation of one of the benefits of having some of the employees, like the city manager, many parts of the staff, remain the same even when the elected positions have some changeover to them. And I think that's a very good reason to make sure that we don't have all the staff changing places, because there's a lot of institutional knowledge and a lot of information that stays with this body here in the city when the appointed people stay the same. But if you look in the next paragraph down, it says that one of the recommendations for this is to make sure that elected and appointed employees would be under this time limit. For me, that was a little bit confusing, because I thought the point just ahead of that was saying leave those people there so that the institutional knowledge stays, which I think is a good thing. So I probably just need to get a little bit more information or a little more clarity on that point, because for me, term limits should be for the elected officials only, but leave the staff here so that that institutional knowledge stays. Just a suggestion. Another thing on the agenda, items I and J. I would suggest if you can make a change on the fly like this, flip those around, because I know that we need to have a closed door meeting today, but to put the city manager and council report that I always enjoy so much, because there actually really is a whole lot of good information there. I would like to hear that before you go into closed door, instead of me having to wait outside there for the closed door to finish in 5 to 50 minutes. Don't know what it's going to be. So if you can make that change on the fly, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay. Name and address, please.
Ty Chaston, 3751 West, 3751 West, 5575 South, as I mess up my own address. I concur with Kevin on all of those things that we're talking about, especially term limits. If you look at the history of why there were not term limits, is back when cities weren't large enough to have the population to do term limits. But now we're at a population that we should be. I wish the state would actually take that into account and say what the population should be in order to make that more of a law. Secondly, I know that we have a lot of meeting minutes that need to be passed, and I believe that's is it a month and the 30 days that we're supposed to have those written and approved? And if not, what does that implicate? I want to make sure that we're not falling behind again on that. So I know I do have a lot of time left, but I think it would be good to have some educational put on that, especially since we have youth council here, so that they can learn from this as well. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to share a thought? Okay. Thank you for public comments. We always believe this is an important part. To the question about appointed positions, Kevin, just to clarify, the intent was for planning commissioners. Those are appointed. The same thing is true for the Arts Council. Those are appointed. But I think to your point, maybe a little clarity in the policy might be appropriate, because it was not intended for what we define the at-will employees or the individuals who are sitting in department heads or city manager positions. Those, the intent of the policy was to suggest that those will be retained to the extent that's possible, and that's where the continuity can move between different councils. So, but the appointed position specifically was meant for planning commission. Okay. Okay. Thanks for the input. We always enjoy the input. Council, we do have some consent items, specifically June and July 2025 financial statements, surplus vehicles. We have some minutes for a variety of meetings, and we have the appointment of alternate planning commissioners that we wanted to basically walk through. So let me just, if I can, just walk through these. I had some comments on surplus vehicles, so I'll ask those comments, and hopefully the department heads can help us clarify a little bit because I gave you an advance notice that those questions were coming. But council, any questions about June and July 2025 financial statements? You okay with everything there? Okay, perfect. Let me, if I can, I'll just open it up in terms of some questions I had. I've asked the council, or excuse me, a staff to help us with some surplus vehicles. I think, Michelle, you probably can help us a little bit in terms of the lawnmowers, if you can. Could you take a second, just kind of give us a little clarity? Because my comment to you was lawnmowers and rotary mower decks, which could be running into replacement part problems if they are getting too old to maintain. That makes it accessible, makes common sense. It's time now, just get rid of them. But if I find it unusual that we had 3 units are no longer usable at the same time, and then, of course, mower decks is being replaced, which they can last almost forever, it seems, at least my exposure with those mower decks. Can you help us best understand why we're getting rid of these particular products?
Sure. So in reference to the mowers, Mayor, you're exactly right. The cost of repairs and parts was becoming too much, exceeding the value of the units. Those mowers were actually taken out of our fleet 2 to 3 seasons ago and are just now getting through the surplus process. So they've been replaced. We're good on that end. As far as the rotary mower deck, in an effort just to clean up some of our storage, we found that we had this mower deck back there. It's not anything that we use in the Parks Department for our spaces. It's more for a rough cutting type mower that we don't manicure, or we don't take care of those type of spaces. So it's just being sent to surplus so that it doesn't take up any more space than needed.
Oh, okay.
And-
So no plans to actually on that one to buy a new one, it's just being just surplused and get rid of?
Correct.
Okay,
And then
perfect.
the box scraper was also ours, and it's the same thing. It hasn't been used in over almost 20 years and is just taking up space. So
Okay.
just kind of doing a little bit of house cleaning.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. You okay with that, council? I just want to make sure we got clarity in terms of why we're reading all this stuff. And then we've asked, if you can help us, Brandon, the question I asked, that Caterpillar 200 kilowatt generator is a very expensive piece of equipment. I was really quite surprised how expensive they could be. Even used items, when I looked them up, that are sitting on traders can go as high as $70,000 for a generator that size. Can you help us understand why we're getting rid of it, and then what is the plan to replace it if it's being replaced?
Yeah, so it actually already has been replaced. We put a new one down at 4300 lift station. That current one was over 30 years old. It was the original. So that's one of them crucial infrastructure things that I thought was a good item to have just for the backup power. And it also was becoming kind of obsolete and hard to get parts for just because it was 30 years old. So we opted to replace that.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. I guess my only comment, can you help us with the 20-foot trailer? Because I want to make sure I understood.
Yeah, so the 20-foot trailer, that was our water department trailer. That's the one that goes out on the leaks. And so, of course, just like anything, when it goes out on a leak several times and lots of heavy machines and everything getting wheeled out of it, it was kind of reaching its life expectancy as far as and to be quite honest with you, that when it was purchased, I think it was undersized. The axles weren't heavy enough to support the load that it was pulling around, so it just kind of deteriorated to the point. And like you said, we already have one, and it's kind of cleaning house too. That's kind of what I'm trying to do, is to clean some of these things out instead of just kind of holding on to them, which I know has kind of been the thing of the past, is just hold on to stuff. But
Oh, did you sell them?
so they're going to be surplused, and then if you guys approve it, then that's when we will sell
You're
them.
going to try to sell them?
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Brandon.
Yep.
I just want to get clarification. Matt, I guess my first impression would be, as I make a correlation between it's bad, let's buy a new one. I'm sensing that a lot of the products have already been bought, and we're just now replacing it. In some cases, maybe months or a year or so after the purchase. I would think there would be probably an opportunity to kind of get those correlated a little closer, so we can make a correlation between, hey, let's go ahead and purchase a new one, and then we'll rid ourselves of the old one. Maybe something to make it a little bit easier, because given the tight budget situations we find ourselves in, It's always good to simply make sure that says, yeah, I got a piece of equipment, it's just going bad, let's get rid of it. To the point I think Michelle's saying is, it's costing me more to repair it than it costs me to buy a new one. And I think when you look at things like that, then, man, that's a great justification. So maybe a conversation you can have would be is, see if we can get the connection between the replacement and then getting rid of the surplus, the old one, to get it out of the system. Hearing that most of this has already been done, it's a housekeeping issue, okay? So a little unusual, but it's understandable. Okay. Council, anything else on anything you basically read in the consent items?
Just a few changes in regards to the extensive minutes, and I have sent those over to Brittany, and she has received those.
You got those, Brittany? Okay.
And then in regards to the planning commissioners, I would just like to welcome them, and it'd be nice to have them part of the team.
So are they going to be introduced tonight or anything? or-
We're going to do that if you, I'd kind of like to make a connection between you approve the consent items and then I know they're here,
Yeah.
Well,
and then we'll just introduce them if you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Because if you say no, I don't want to embarrass them.
It's awkward.
It would be awkward. So any other comments relative to the consent items? Council? Okay, seeing and hearing none then, do I have a motion then to approve the consent items?
so moved.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sophie. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Okay, they are approved. Please, Anna, okay, and Braden, if you both will just stand up and, oh, I'm sorry, I was pointing, I didn't realize on both sides here. I thought maybe
worked
it
out
was
that
something
way.
good. Hey, it worked out perfect. Anyway, hey, thank you so much, okay? It's not necessarily always easy to work with the city in terms of these capacities. There'll be a lot put on you. But I think what you'll find and you'll learn as you go through planning commission responsibilities is so important. Most of what we do at the council is founded on land use issues. And it's those land issues that we really work hard to get through. And you will get an insight in terms of how important that is to any municipality of assuring that we've got good land use requirements. And by the way, for the record, and the law is very clear, nothing the city council does that deals with land use, that it first has to come through the planning commission. You will see it, you will hear it, you'll get public input, and then you will make a recommendation if it needs to come to the city council on the changes that we need to make. So it's a powerful opportunity to learn so much about how the city works and what we do here. So thank you so much for being with us and your acceptance to this program. I know you'll do a wonderful job for us, so thank you. Okay. Now, I think we may have a change because I think I've seen James here. There you are. We got a couple of presentations. First, the Boys and Girls Club of Weber Davis. And I believe, Jim, you're going to basically talk this. Thank you.
Excited to be here. Am I too close, too far?
Good.
First, I want to say thank you. I'd ask you to excuse my attire. We were at a golf tournament. Rocky Mountain put on a golf tournament where much of the funds went to us, which was a great day, but wasn't a good day to be dressed in a suit and a tie. So please forgive the shorts and the messy hair. I appreciate it a lot. I want to say thank you. I think the real reason I'm here today is to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Matt for the patience that they've given us at the Roy Hope. We've spent about 2.5 months now getting it up to speed, cleaned up, and most of that cleaning's come through the help of Doug and Jimmy and the entire crew. We wanted to say thank you very much for all the work, the great positive can-do attitude that they've all shown, and they've gone above and beyond. I walked in there about a month ago, and they had painted all the posts out in front, which completely changed the whole look. They took down the sign, powder coated it. It's beautiful. We're going to backlight it. It's going to be amazing. And so the first thing I just want to say is thank you for 20 plus years of support. It really has meant a lot, whether it was down at the old facility or at the new facility that Roy City bought and built. So thank you very much for all of that. We're excited to have that continue to be our charter main site, and it really is our you know, huge focus at really reaching out to the Roy community as a whole. So I want to just say thank you, number one, for that. That being said, we started about 2 years ago to look to put a teen side at Roy Junior. Because of a couple different things, we decided to maybe downsize that. So we're looking at renovating right now the Roy Hope Center down in the Boys and Girls Club. We run a capacity of about 110. That's our capacity, and this will probably jump us up to about 170 or more, kind of depending on you know, our average daily attendance. And so that's a pretty big jump for us. And I'll go through that really quickly if you don't mind, if we have time, Mayor. We'll start
do,
really
please.
quickly with a kind of overview. If you'll notice in the area in the blue, right now that's a general open area. And we are going to add actually 2 classrooms there. We'll have some renderings a little farther down. If you look in the green, the bright kind of lime green, that is going to be dedicated teen space, with one of the spaces specifically for, we're going to call it the Forge, and that's specifically for STEM and our Club to Career program. We're going to have all kinds of fun things in there. It's going to be kind of develop, design, and build in that STEM facility. And then if you look at kind of at the top on the right-hand side, that's actually 1 room. It's actually 2 right now. We're going to make it into 1 room, and that's going to be the Tech Center for Youth. So kind of a small STEM for our K through 6th grade youth that are there. And then we're going to redo our entire art room. And then we're going to have a very specific area set aside for tutoring. We're going to have some tutor pods where the tutors can be in with the kids. They close the door. They're not distracted by noise, and they can have kind of a cool place to study one-on-one. If you look at a lot of the statistics right now, literacy is one of the things that kids have really fallen behind with COVID, and many of them are not reading at grade level, which is a huge concern because we know that literacy is a big forecaster of success in your academics and into your professional life. If we go to the next slide. If there's another slide, hopefully. Go past this one. This is all, you'll see this when we run through it, when we build it, but we're redoing all the ceilings, gonna kind of make them cool. They're gonna be cloud ceilings and give some depth. So as we walk into the facility, usually, if you look where it says the Stewart Academic Center, today, that is all open space. And these are the 2 pod classrooms that we're actually building in that space. And as you see, there's a whole new feeling to the center. When it was initially built, it was more focused for maybe just K through 4th graders, and we really wanted to kind of give it an updated feeling. So this is kind of an updated feeling. There'll be a space where the kids can kind of hang out, or we can have some time out, but then also this academic spaces. Next slide, please. So this is the current teen room, and we're going to kind of give some different facades in there so you have a different feeling than just paint. And so if you look against the brick wall, that's going to be kind of the hangout area. We've kind of put some cool chairs in it, a place for the kids to play some games or do some general study. And on the other side is more the academic piece where we'll have some tables and chairs where they can do their power hour and things like that to catch up on their schoolwork. Next slide, please. As you can see, these are the tutor pods. Thank you. Again, we're going to have 2 of them. We can probably do 3 to 4 kids at a time in our tutoring area with a kind of a prep space where the kids can be reading without the tutor. And then when you look into that next room, that's more of an academic space, more of a classroom feel to it. Next slide, please. So this is the actual room I just referenced. So, excuse me, this is the art room. So right now the art room just actually looks like a classroom. And so we wanted to actually have an art feel with areas that you actually can show the artwork being done. And so just like the main library that's just down the street, we kind of adopted that feel. If you walk into the youth area of that library, they actually have displays up on the walls. And that system is the system we're gonna adopt here. We're gonna bring in more different types of tables so that we can put them together or pull them apart so the kids can work individually or they can work as groups, depending on what kind of art it is. Next slide, please. This is the room right next to the study pods. We're going with 2 thoughts on these additional rooms. One is kind of a soft, so kids learn differently. I'm a little older. I learned sitting at a desk with the teacher with the ruler. Kids don't always learn like that. And so we wanted to have a classroom feel, but then we also have kind of a soft, which is on the other side, the classroom, which is more soft seating. So sometimes kids sit on the computers and write things, or they sit in little groups around soft chairs. We wanted to give them both of those options. So that's what we designed in these 2 rooms. And we kind of came up with this kind of cool feel where on both sides there's glass, and then it kind of steps up with the whiteboards in the middle and then the television, but that opens it up. This whole centerpiece is going to be mostly glass. Again, for safety, it allows staff to monitor kids at all times. Next slide, please. This is what we're really affectionately calling the forge. And if you look, you can't see the whole thing, but where the soft seating here on the left is where the kids kind of come together. They develop ideas and concepts. There's actually a television there. They can do software design onto the television, or they can take their ideas to this long whiteboard that you see on the left-hand side. Then they can go to the hard seating area, maybe design it, come up with ideas, concepts, and then we'll have kind of a STEM tables where they can build it out, or then take it directly to maybe the 3D printer or the just different types of printers, et cetera, so on, to kind of build the items. And we kind of made it all movable so that if we need to, we can put something in the middle and have robot wars or just have some fun with the things that the kids build. There we go. And this is, again, this is the tech center for the youth. That idea of from creation and design to production is also in this room, and it kind of works from left to right. So you can see the soft seating in the corner, and that's where they'll do the design phase, up here and to the right where they can actually use the whiteboard. And then we'll have, again, those STEM tables where they can do their production piece. And in that corner right there is going to be our podcasting and music mixing area where they can create podcasts or mix music and things like that, which is what's really the kids love. And again, this is the soft seating. This is not the furniture. This is the furniture they have in the software at the architect. We are not buying grandma and grandpa furniture for these kids to sit on. This is going to be some furniture that they're really going to love. But the concept is to have, I'm talking fast, I'm aware of it, I'm trying to get through time. I don't know if you got my 4 minutes running here, I might probably getting kind of close.
You're okay.
But we wanted to really make sure that the kids can learn in the environment that works for them best. We all learn differently, and we wanted to give them that opportunity because it's really about helping them reach their potential. Do we have another slide? Is that it?
That's it.
So I just wanted to say thank you. I was going to go over all the amazing programs that we have, but I think many of you are associated with the club one way or the other, and you know about the club. And we're focused on really providing quality programming, club to career programming, create the club to introduce them to arts and things like that. But really today is just to say thank you to the city for the amazing support. Every time I reach out to Matt, he puts me on his schedule to come in and talk about things. I've actually stood him up once and he didn't get too mad at me. He said it was okay when I circle back. But again, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for the great support. And when we get closer, we will loop you into a grand opening.
Perfect.
Any questions?
Well, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So while you're doing this, you're obviously remodeling while all the kids are still in there. You're just shifting them from room to room.
Yes.
So-
Again, we have very resilient youth, and we have an amazing gym. And so we'll do it in stages, and then we'll plan through the stages where we're moving that specific programming into the gym or into different areas where maybe we have, instead of one room with 15 kids in rotation, we'll put 30 in. So we'll stage it all out so these kids continue. The biggest thing is parents have to have a dependable time to send their kids, right? And so we don't want to interrupt that. So we're being very cognizant of that.
So I think what everybody here, everyone will want to know is you guys are paying for this. The city is not paying
Yes,
for
ma'am.
this.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We did fundraising for about 3.5 to 4 years. We're able to, actually it's out to bid today. We'll have an idea exactly how much it is. But you have supported us for years. We're not asking you for money to do that. But your support's been in kind and just amazing support. So yes, it will not cost the taxpayers of Roy any dollars. I know the taxpayers of Roy support the club, but we're not going to ask them to help pay for it.
Okay, thank you.
Good, Jen.
For the 170 students, is that per day? You would have about 170 per day.
So right now, our average daily attendance, that's our capacity, right? So we'll have a capacity of 170. We're usually about 80% of that any given day, right? Because of illness, et cetera, so on. But the capacity is the big issue, right? We probably have about 60 kids on a wait list today to get into club. So that would help us meet that demand.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can I put my hat back on now? Absolutely. I don't want to turn around for them to all see my bald head. Thank you very much.
James Ebert, thank you so much. And again, the Boys and Girls Club is doing some fantastic things. We're excited Matt and I had an opportunity to meet with Jim and his team. They're really interest, council, as Ann, you were suggesting, is can we do this? Is it okay? They'll spend the money, they'll make the investment, they'll do the modification, but can they do this? Because Royce City owns that facility. And it was exciting, and really got excited when you says it's going to increase your capacity, because there's so much, okay, more I think that the Boys and Girls Club can do for our community, and that capacity increase is going to make a big difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Great job. Okay, council, we do have we do have another training opportunity and a presentation, and Matt Wilson's going to teach us what we're required to learn each year. So Matt, you'd like to talk to us about the Open and Public Meetings Act.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. I was going to start with all the things you've done wrong in the last year, but Brittany told me I had 4 minutes, so. I also wanted to start with a lawyer joke, but really there's only 2 out there. The rest are all either facts or true stories, so there you have it. All right, so aside from the rave reviews that I received last year on this training, which I am available for autographs after this, we'll just get right into it. So Open and Public Meetings Act, if you have the excitement that I do and enjoy reading Utah code as much as I do, I can give you the citation for that. Most people seem like they don't want to read the code, and I don't understand. It's fascinating. Anyways, the intent of the legislature was basically for the public bodies to do their work in the open, so that public could see that, participate in certain times. A lot of times you'll ask, when does it apply? Basically when there's a quorum or a simple majority present. You have your requirements for your meetings, 24 hours notice, unless it's an emergency, and then you do as soon as practicable. Also, written minutes and recordings are required for each meeting. That's why you have those minutes that we approve, and they don't let me edit those too much because I like to add things in. No, I'm kidding. Trying to see how many people are paying attention, and I'm sure.
I'm here.
Yeah, all right. Still awake. That's good. There is the exception to your open meetings, which we get to practice tonight, and I make sure that I'll keep you in line on that. We have closed meetings. They're allowed certain discussion on certain items. It's not a blanket to just discuss anything. There's specific items set out in the code that you're allowed to discuss, and you can't go beyond that, and it also has to be noticed for that purpose, as well as you are limited in your discussions to that purpose. And also no final action can take place in a closed meeting. It would have to take place in an open meeting. And then to go into closed meeting, you need a roll call vote. In the motion, you have to state the reason for going into the closed meeting, and then 2/3 of the members present, so 2/3 of the public body must be present and vote to close that meeting. And those are recorded depending on the type of meeting or the discussion you're having. As all lawyers love to say, and we feel like we all paid a lot of money just to be able to say, it depends, which I'm sure several of you have heard me say that, which I will continue to say, whether it applies or not, just because it's fun to say. Mr. Flint can attest to that. All right. Outside of your closed meeting, any final action taken in violation of the Open and Public Meetings Act is voidable. So if it's challenged in court, the court could say, yeah, you did it wrong, but really the fix is you come back and pass it in another meeting. So it doesn't mean that it's void, just voidable, and a suit has to be commenced within a certain time frame. There is a criminal penalty for violating the Public Meetings Act, the Open and Public Meetings Act, which is a first-degree felony, life in prison. Kidding, Class B misdemeanor. I know Randy started sweating there.
I was just getting a little bit nervous there, thanks.
And then we do have the ability to have electronic meetings. there, if a council member is unable to participate or able to be here in person, they are able to join online, but they have to be able to at least hear and participate in those electronic meetings. So can't just be watching it on YouTube, basically. Some of the most common violations for the Open and Public Meetings Act, discussing matters in a closed meeting that should be discussed during the open session. That's probably the most common of all violations. Taking official or final action in a closed meeting, closing meetings without members of the body voting first in an open meeting to close the meeting, conducting a closed meeting for reasons other than those allowed by the act, failing to provide proper notice of a public meeting, and then failing to provide adequate notice. So proper and adequate notice of public meetings, that happens a lot. So with that, I think I may be within my time allotment that Brittany gave me. So if there's any questions, I'm always happy to answer those, but there you have it.
Okay. Thank you. Matt, council, any questions, comments on this policy?
Nope. Thank you for always keeping us in line. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He does a good job.
Okay. Well, good training. Thank you. And it's a good reminder. We can find ourselves in situations where we start discussing things that really should be done in a public meeting. But it also indicates we may be invited to events, and being invited to an event where we all participate is perfectly okay. Just please avoid, getting in too much of the day-to-day business conversations that oftentimes comes up. So good training. Thank you. Okay, we have some action items. First one, Chief Williams is going to read. It's an action item consideration of Resolution 25-25, a resolution of the Roy City Council adopting the Weber County, Utah Pre-Disaster Mitigation Plan for 2024. And to be blunt, Chief, I got 700 pages, about 700 pages done. I know that our good friend Brian was able to plow through all of it. You're going to help us understand a little bit about that before we go for a vote. So if you would, introduce this.
Yeah, and then just quickly, I gave each council member this fact sheet that kind of explains what the pre-mitigation plan is, why we should adopt it, the consequences to it, and then also ways of funding to help our infrastructure through grants. And so all that kind of leans into if we adopt this. So we started working on this. The county reached out to all the cities, even water districts, to start revising the mitigation plan. And so this has been in the works for over a year. And honestly, there's been a lot of work done by each city. Even ourselves, we worked with Wasatch Civil, reached out to Brandon's team and Jody to get all this information. So it wasn't just check marks. We actually had to submit large amounts of data based upon our city, based upon hazard analysis, working with Wasatch Civil, and trying to put our piece into the plan, this county plan. So just to clarify, this is not an emergency operations plan. It's purely a pre-disaster plan. We want to get ahead of any type of disaster. And as you've seen throughout our country this year, we've had thousands of disasters, and just one recently on the hillside. So all of this is to mitigate these hazards so we're better prepared and our infrastructure is more resilient. If we can, we don't have to, but by participating, we are available for federal funding. So that's the importance of it. And it'd really be dangerous if we did not participate in it. So I'm here to answer any questions on it. I gave you kind of a short fact sheet. I don't think everybody understands emergency management, mitigation items, and what it does for the city. So take it, read it tonight. If you have questions, respond back. But I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for the chief before and I will be inviting those who are able to read through it. If you'd like to add a little bit more from your observation, share with the council before I go for a vote. But any questions for the chief?
I was just wondering on some of the areas where it looks like there may be a deficit or something like that. Is there a timeline of when that needs to be accomplished, or is that
No.
just, it gives us a goal to work towards?
No, and a good example would be, I mean, this is more Brandon's area, but like storm drains and water mains, when those are set to be replaced, really, the federal government just wants to see that you're under the awareness that there are some issues within your current city that needs to be updated, but they don't hold you to that. Like earthquake, that's the number one hazard among the whole state. Not every city can update earthquake-proof every building. So it's an attempt to try to just recognize that there are potential areas of improvement, and that's why they provide you the grant. There's the BRIC grant that's in there, and the EMPG grant, and those are ways that help cities to help fund those infrastructure areas where need to be improved. So there is no timeline or things that they require you to do. It's just they want to see you making an effort. So if something did happen, you can say you identified it, and though you may not have the funds to do it, you're eligible to have federal funding to help fix whatever was damaged. So,
Okay. Other comments? Okay, Brian, I'm going to put you on the spot. Your observation, having now read the whole document, what did you pull from it?
Well, first, the document is 1,208 pages.
good job.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I've read the Old Testament and I've read Melville's Moby Dick, and I want the public to know that this was a tough read. But it made me feel a whole lot better, truly, about living in Roy. And the summary that the document gave, I'll just read that to you. Hazard mitigation involves any sustained action to reduce or eliminate the long-term risk to human life and or property from hazards. And I shortened that because I just didn't feel up to writing another 1,000 pages, but I appreciated it. It was good to know. It covered things like tornadoes and earthquakes, and I want you to know that if you're looking for something to read, it's there. And I just want to thank you for this, truly.
You're welcome.
I mean that, but thanks. And
Okay, Brian. Yeah, really interesting. Anybody else like to share their observations of this document?
I liked how it was divided in cities, so we were able to focus on what we needed for our specific area. So, yeah,
And I do think
that
out
was
of
nice.
most cities, we are in a safe, if you look at the surrounding cities,
Yeah.
we are a very safe city, which to your point is good to know. So
Yeah,
our
thanks for
hazards,
all your hard work. You told me
yeah.
you spent months on
Yeah.
getting this done. And Brian, you must drink a lot of caffeine because I wouldn't have been able to stay awake reading all that.
Yeah, it was, you're right, Ann. Chief, let me just indicate to you, and for the public, it covered avalanches. It's not an issue for Roy, but it is an issue in Weber County. It covered the issue if we lost a dam and the impact. And it was assessed that Roy City is pretty protected if that did happen, whether it's the Echo Dam, okay, up Weber Canyon, or certainly Pineview. That's refreshing, Chief, to know that based on our location, we can provide there's just some inherent mitigation already embedded, okay, within our city, which is great to know. Certainly the conversation about tornadoes, those things, and we've seen witness of that. You don't have to go too far, but a few days ago, we had one in southern Utah.
Yeah.
It destroyed 3 buildings, lost some livestock and certainly created some challenges down there. And some of those people probably never seen a tornado in southern Utah, but it was a few days ago we had one. And so these kinds of programs, Chief, are powerful in help mitigating before it happens, because it's going to be a lot worse when it happens, okay, if we don't have the mitigation. So thank you for your team. I recognize there was a number of players on this, but certainly you took the lion's share of the issues. You managed the EOP for this city, and certainly if there is a disaster, that's when the EOP is going to take place and it's going to be implemented. So I can't be more appreciative of all the hard work you're doing to put that together. A hard read, Chief, but very, very important, okay?
Thank you. And I am currently working on a new revised EOP. So that,
How are you? Okay.
That is now, I'll be working with the county on that. So that will start within a few weeks. So it's just been a busy 6 months. And so that will be revised hopefully soon. So
Perfect. Okay. Well,
Thank
thank you. And by the way, for those who don't know what an EOP is, it's the Emergency Operating Procedures and or plan. And it really is, how do we react as a city to be able to help mitigate and help save lives? And certainly that's one of our roles and responsibilities. So thank you. Thank you. Okay, any other comments, questions, council, on Resolution 2525? Okay, hearing none then, do I have a motion then to approve Resolution 2525?
So moved.
Okay, thank you,
Second.
Randy. Do I have a second? I heard. Okay, thank you. Brian, this is a roll call vote, so Brittany?
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul. Aye. Councilmember Jackson,
I
Councilmember Saxton.
Aye.
Okay, Resolution 25-25 is approved. Again, thanks, Chief. Now we have consideration of Ordinance 2515. This is consider a request to amend the zoning map from R4 multifamily residential to R5, which is multifamily residential. There are some unique characteristics. And Brody, I believe you're going to lead the conversation on this one. Is that correct?
Actually, Mayor, the applicant himself is here to talk to the council, so
However you want to lead us. That's perfect.
I'll jump in if there's any questions later.
Okay.
Am I able to use this HDMI here?
Yeah, can you give us your name?
Sure will. Nathan Alvey.
Nathan? Thank you.
There we go. Love technology when it works. Okay. So, it's good to be with everyone tonight. I appreciate your time and consideration. I hope to show that what we are proposing has the needs and desires of the community at heart and can be a win-win for everyone as we look to add value to the community and the neighborhood through this project. The highlighted green area here is just an aerial view of a 1.7 acre area that is currently zoned R4. It's just on the west side of 1900 West, approximately 4550 South. To the east, we have some apartments. To the north, we have some townhomes. To the west, there's some fourplexes. And to the south, there's some commercial property. Within the green area here, we have 3 existing homes that are being rented. And then, I guess if I go back, there's a little over an acre of vacant land that previously was associated with these 3 properties, but it's just been overrun with weeds and unused for many, many years. Over on 4550 South here, you can see, looking east towards the mountains, the 2 fourplexes on the north and south. Street view of 1900 West, you can see the 3 small homes that are just kind of dwarfed by the commercial to the north, the commercial to the south, and then the townhomes to the north. And then again, here's just a little aerial view of it. And this land again is zoned R4 presently. And if I take you on just a little history lesson here, we proposed building some townhomes here back in 2019. As I talk about these townhomes, I want to hopefully portray that I have the single-family home in mind. And my definition of an entry-level single-family home being about a 4-bedroom, 2,000 square foot property. Those are scattered throughout the city of Roy, built between the 1940s and 1980s, but after that, any newer construction is generally a lot bigger property. You just don't have those smaller entry-level homes again. And so we're trying to fill that need with these townhomes here. Some specifications of each unit. These are 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2-car garage. There's over 2,200 square feet of finished living space. And then there's a 339 square foot unfinished storage area in each basement. So impressive little units for townhomes. Back in 2019, we purchased the home on 1900 West that's highlighted here, and the land, the vacant land to the west of it. And we proposed at that time building 12 of these townhomes here, and that plat was previously approved. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and we couldn't get building supplies. The project was sidelined. And about a year ago, we decided to pick the pieces back up and get going again. And back in 2019, these other 2 properties, single-family homes, were owner-occupied. They didn't want to sell at the time, but about a year ago, the owner of this middle property said, "Hey, you know what?" Because I had to get them to sign some paperwork for me for applications and whatnot. They said, "You know what? Why don't you just purchase our properties and roll it into your project?" So working with the neighbors and the community along the way. We explored those options. We ended up purchasing, it made sense for us to purchase this middle property. It didn't make a whole lot of sense to purchase the 3rd property to the south here, just because of so little land that we were acquiring. But working with Steve Parkinson, he didn't want to leave that one little individual property out on its own, so he encouraged us to gamble and roll the dice and purchase it. So we do now control all of those parcels. And what we're proposing, instead of the 12 townhomes and leaving the existing homes that we had previously proposed, we would be proposing tearing down those buildings, the 3 existing single-family homes, and building 22 new townhomes. And these townhomes, as you see on this image here, are to scale with those 2,200 square foot townhomes on the previous image. So I can fit them on the land here, but the R4 zone limits me to put 20 of these townhomes here, which makes it more cost prohibitive to tear down 3 buildings. Whereas if I can squeeze 2 more out of them with just a little bit of flexibility that the R5 zone gives to me, then it truly is a win-win situation to where, okay, it makes sense for us to pull the trigger and go forward, because it's very expensive to develop and build these days. We want you to see that it is a very minimal change we're asking for here. We're not changing our product. Still have that single-family home that we're trying to duplicate and replace at heart. Just trying to get 2 more of them here in this area.
Okay, Nathan, thank you. Brody, you want to add anything to that?
No, if there's questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Okay. Council, comments, questions?
Well, we can't ask questions on parking or anything like that, huh? No.
Yeah,
Okay.
Stop.
Okay,
What-
then,
Go ahead.
What's the difference
Lift it up a little bit.
between R4 and
5, just the
and
density.
5? What's the biggest difference?
For my project, I don't want to speak, I mean, that I could build a completely different product, potentially, but that's not my product. For me specifically, down here at the bottom, I've highlighted the differences. R4 requires 3,690 square feet of land per unit, where the R5 zone only requires, I said that wrong. R4 requires 3,630 square feet per unit. R5 is 2,178.
That's where he gets the 2 more units out of it.
So if I was trying to squeeze the maximum number of units out of this, I would bring a completely different type of product, like an apartment building. We just want to build townhomes, but we just need, again, it's just where ordinances that are on paper, just asking for a little bit of flexibility instead of coming and asking for a variance, for saying, hey, you know what,
And no egress out to 1900, I see.
Correct. This takes the traffic off of 1900 West. Those 8 units that are facing 1900 West would be accessed off of 4550 South. We've met with UDOT, and UDOT did not want anything more than an emergency exit. So that little gap in between there is kind
A
of
crash gate or well or maybe. We can't ask.
yeah.
Okay, I'll stop there.
I wouldn't know the proper terminology. I let my engineer.
Be fine.
But yeah, some type of emergency access, not regular use access. Yeah.
Well, I'm the one that's actually closest in that area from it because I'm in the neighborhood just to the north of that, and it's great use of the land. Cool, I like it.
Okay, other comments, questions?
I had a question in regards to using an R5, and maybe this you or maybe Brody, versus maybe a development agreement, and wondering pros and cons to that.
Yeah, so the way this came up is during this process, the Planning Commission was actually looking at altering the zones, and they wanted to adjust the R4 zone to 16 units per acre instead of 12. And they created the R5, which is 20 per acre, which he correctly laid out here. So when that change was not approved by City Council, he was already in the process, and he said rather than asking for a development, he just essentially asked to continue his application, but making a zoning change for the property to the R5, which is why we're here today. So could a development agreement be done? Yes, but I mean, the applicant chose to essentially just change his request with Planning Commission from a text amendment to the whole zone of R4 to, well, let's just move this property to R5, which facilitates the plan that he's put before you.
Which kind of streamlines does that streamline it, or does that make a difference?
It was really just a
Either preference, okay.
preference.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Any other questions?
other comments, questions, council? Okay, with that then, do I have a motion then to approve ordinance 25-15, consider a request to amend the zoning map from R4 to an R5?
So moved.
Thank you, Sophie. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, this is a roll call vote. Brittany?
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson.
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden.
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton.
Aye.
Councilmember Paul. Aye.
Okay, council, thank you. Ordinance 25-15 is approved. Thank you.
Just like to thank you for your presentation, and appreciate that you going through it the way you did. Thanks.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Okay, council, we have a couple of discussion items. Now, these are only discussion items. We'd like to get some heading check in terms of where we go from here, if it goes anywhere. The first one up there is to look at the Royce City purchasing policy and make a few amendments. Council, if you've had a chance to read the information I've provided to you, there's some opportunity to make some adjustments to get the current Roy City purchasing policy in compliance with the Utah Code. I think I gave you examples or information out of the code in terms of what it states. If there's any questions, maybe I can help answer that. If not, I think Matt can answer. But let's see if you have any questions relative to making some amendments or adjustments to the current Roy City purchasing policy.
I mean, I know we go through like an audit every year, and it's never come up as an audit finding. Is that just because what we're looking to adopt is so new from a law perspective? Because it's never come up as an audit finding. From a financial controls perspective, we always get high grades for that.
Yeah, this is not an audit.
No,
what-
but as part of our audit, they should have flagged this type of policy. As part
I've
of
never seen that.
Don't look at that.
Don't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're gonna look at nepotism, and they're gonna look at vendors that we have to see if there is violations of the law.
So
To
is this-
see if there's anything like that, but the policy, you know, they look at the policy, but they don't come up with the state's code and stuff. I think state code changes all the time, and really, in a nutshell, if state code is something and our policy is less than the state code, we have to follow
Still
state
follow
code
state code.
anyway,
right.
yes.
And so we're just looking to codify it as part of the formal
Correct.
policy. Is that what we're?
Well, yeah, just to kind of make sure it's clear, and the heart of it really comes down to is that if a city employee simply says, "Hey, I've got a business," or "My family has a business," and they would like to do business with Roy City, because Roy City does put RFPs on the street, then the requirement would be, and it's a simple requirement: stand in front of that podium, declare, okay, the relationship, family member, whatever that might be, and then let the council publicly have that information, and the city manager then says, can we find a mitigation strategy by which we can make this work? And then that's really the heart of the ordinance, or in this case, in terms of what the Utah Code says. And so I think it retains much of what the purchasing policy has. It just brings some clarity in terms of that if the person wants to do business with Roy City and they happen to be a Roy City employee, stand up in front of the mic and get it be part of public record. That's really the heart of it. And this is actually under the ethics code. So it's not under the contracting or how we manage. It's really under the ethics code. And so in an essence is that it just brings to light any issues that the individuals may feel, or someone who's working a contract may feel, if in fact somebody within a family or within some type of association may want to do business with Roy. And as you well know, Roy spends a lot of money, issuing contracts to get the work done. So this is kind of an avenue to do that. Just clarify that. Today, as you read, it goes to the city manager. And the city manager then is responsible, to decide how to mitigate that or whatever. The ethics code is clear. It has to come to the city council. So, other comments, ideas, questions?
And again, this isn't in response to anything that's happened. This is more just to codify with state law as part of our process procedure, correct?
Well, that's a good question, Ray. One thing I will tell you about being mayor, people will tell you things, and you have to listen. You just have to listen. If there's any validity behind those things, and I've been hearing them ever since as a council member, and certainly a lot of things that come through as mayor, the most important thing would be is that just validate. Anybody can accuse anything.
Sure.
Okay? And the allegations, which is initially is always an allegation, it's an allegation. I get lots of that. But it's my responsibility, if I get those, is now work with the senior staff and validate that. And as I do the validation in terms of whether or not the allegation's true or not true, the working relationship I have with Matt particularly is such that we trust each other. And if he comes back and I say, Matt, there's this allegation, what do you see? What do you know? And he says, Mayor, it didn't happen. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right.
But in the course of trying to flesh out the allegation, I came across this particular comment or this particular element within the law which is in conflict with our current purchasing policy. So in my mind's eye, the answer really is to strengthen our purchasing policy to get it more compliant with state law. And I think we have to do that. So if you stumble onto something, and we do, we see issues, we see situations that come up, we basically says, okay, what do we need to do? And if we believe there's opportunities for us to make us better, much more transparent, then we do that. And that's really the whole course of this one. There it is. It's been out there for so long. I don't know how long it's been out there, but as you read the information both on our current purchasing policy and what the ethics code says, then obviously there's a conflict. So I say we can correct that tonight and just get us more closer to the issue. We still can mitigate. I'm not excluding employees to not do business with Roy City if they feel they can or their family can, or some because they're a part of some business to do that. They certainly have a right to do that. The key would be it's all about transparency. And the way the ethics law reads is stand up, put it on public record. And if it's on public record, then you know as a council that it's happening, and then you can help the city manager decide whether or not we want to or need to mitigate it, or we just simply don't allow it. But you have some control. And remember, one of the most important parts is that it needs to come to you. You're an unbiased person, but people are a group. But here's the important thing. Everything that I have read and everything that has taken place, Matt and his team are in compliance with our purchasing policy. So if the policy is not in line, guess who's responsible to approve the purchasing policy in Roy City? It's a council. And as long as Matt is following the policy that the council approves, it's Kevlar to him. It's defense to him. If the policy needs to be adjusted, then what we as a council need to do is we need to bring it to the surface, discuss it, and if we can, in my opinion, make the adjustments so we have a stronger policy so that Matt and his team can basically get the job done he's expected to do. But you decide what policies are approved and what not approved in this city. And this is one I'm offering at least an idea that suggests I think we can make some improvements to this policy, become more compliant with Utah code.
Thank you, Mayor. So it sounds like we definitely need some work on this policy, and I'm wondering where we've had the comments that the state code has a way of changing, but it still trumps all of our codes. And maybe this question would be for Attorney Wilson. Could we somehow word this so it connects us to the state, and hopefully I'm wording this right, connects us to the state laws, so that way we don't have to have someone, like the mayor reviewing this every year or every 2 years to make sure we're up to date so we can, where it trumps it anyway. Is there a way to facilitate that? Yeah, facilitate that, yeah.
Yes, there is. A lot of times you'll see there's a reference to that we must comply with state code or any applicable laws by the state, and we could include that language or make some modifications and propose that to the council.
Sounds like we definitely need to do something with it, so that might be part of, while we're doing this change, then that would keep us ahead of the game a little bit in the future, and we can kind of look at that and fine tune it, and I guess that would be on your plate probably, huh?
Yeah,
So,
and that's fine.
okay, well, I mean, to me, that sounds like that'd be a kind of a win-win for all of us. I don't know where we go from there, but that sounds like that'd be good.
Yeah, again, I wasn't saying I was against it. It was more just like if state law supersedes, what are we?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, certainly there's some opportunities, and the intent of this would be is we believe there's an opportunity, we can certainly craft a language in this. Let me just offer a little caution. Every time I get tied up in the Legislative Affairs Committee meeting, which I have another one next week, and certainly as we get in now into the legislative side, we're going through lots and lots of laws. I'm just telling you, you have no concept of how many Utah codes are out there. And for some whatever reason, I'm still trying to figure this all the years I've been mayor, why they keep coming with 500 or 600 or 800 new bills. They're modifying things, they're changing things. I've never seen anything like it in my life. As much as I like the idea of what you're saying, Diane, it certainly is an argument to suggest that if we just say follow the code, then anybody who's going to do a purchase, agreement within the city or do that can simply says, the first thing it says, go read this latest code. And if they know where to look, they can find it and it becomes easy. Kinda. I think Matt Wilson will tell you sometime reading Utah code gets a little interesting, only from the standpoint is that it gets into the lawyer-ese, whatever that definition is, and you really have to walk through it to understand it. He certainly is experienced at it. He understands it better than anyone. The challenge I think we find is that the layman or a worker, an employee, just simply says, man, what does this say? So if your intent of the purchasing policy is simply says, okay, go to the ethics code and read the latest version of the ethics code, and that becomes a mandate before they start anything, then I guess we could write the law along that line. But please understand, there's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of codes, hundreds, if not thousands of different laws. I mean, it gets pretty interesting. But the purchasing policy was intended to simply then give the direction, particularly I think to department heads and supervisors, says if you're going to make a credit card purchase, here's what you need to do. And if it becomes so cumbersome that you basically have to waddle, through this mountain, and I mean a mountain of Utah code, it gets really hard. And to make this even more interesting, you look at the Title 10. If you read the very first of what I said, this is a Title 10. Well, there's also a Title 17, and there's a title of a lot of things. There's titles for school districts. There's titles for sewer districts. Title 10 is municipalities. And I'm here to tell you, just because it says a Title 10 one thing, it may be something completely different in a Title 17. Kind of the same thing, but could be different. You see my point? Because this Title 10 in the Utah Code is targeted to municipalities. So we could do that, and I think there's some merit to that, to give reference to that. But the challenge is if you don't have a document sitting where a person can read and says, here's what you should and should not do, at least give some guidance. I think maybe what you're going to do is you're going to bury them trying to get through a Utah Code, and they're just not going to get there. Here's my point. And I'm just going to read just the front end of what I'm asking you consider adding to the policy. Just the policy. Doesn't get into the issue about whether the city manager can approve it or not approve it. Just the policy I'm saying to you would be, I'm asking for this addition. A city public employee or public officer shall not use his or her office for his or her own private gain with the city for the endorsement of any product, service, or enterprise, or for the private gain of a friend, relative, or person of whom the employee is affiliated in a non-government capacity. Now, you're not going to find that language in the code, not normally. But it certainly clearly defines that says that we do not want our public employees going up there and using their position in the city for personal gain, for themselves or for their family members or friends. I think that has to be clear.
Right.
It should be clear, and the policy needs to talk to that. Otherwise, I'm suggesting you're thinking about, unless you tell me differently, just put a statement that says, before you do anything, go read, and I'll pick out one, it's a good one, go read Utah Code 10-3-1307, interested in business entities doing business with municipalities. and the requirements for disclosure. Yeah, I can do that. But it doesn't go to the heart of what I just said, which is the person who's doing business at the very front of our purchasing policy, that we basically not inform them that they should not use this for personal gain. But if they want to do business, then here's the way to do it. Come to the city council, and in the city council we declare, okay, publicly the conflict of interest. And that's it. And that's what we need, just to make sure they come here and they basically says, I like to do business and I want to do business. Randy, to your question, I'm not going to get into the details. But trust me, if I was getting the details, you would be impressed by how many people are taking advantage of contracts in Roy City and how that connects to themselves or their family members. So the point I want to suggest is, it's not a problem, okay, if they stand in front of that pulpit and they declare that first. So this gives us a way to do that.
So I think this has been a great discussion, and I think it's something that is important for us to look at. And so I think that when we get our new council in January, that'll be something that we should bring up again and discuss. But I think it was very important. I would have never thought to bring this up. And so, I mean, I think it was good for you to bring it up, and I've read it, and I like all your points about it. And so in January, when we have our new council, I think it should be brought up again.
So I have a question again,
Okay.
Attorney Wilson. Is there a way for you to dovetail it? Because I see your point. We want it to be a little easier read for people. So we want to have some clarity and maybe add some of our own. But is there a way to be able to dovetail that together so we don't just say, oh, here, read this code, which is difficult? Could we kind of combine that?
Yes, and that's generally what's done. It's not just see reference to Utah
Okay.
code. We'll have a in there that'll say, basically, this is our policy, but it also must be compliant with Utah laws, which we are anyways. We're still following the law.
So you'd have
regardless,
some
but yeah.
highlights that would be easier for someone to read.
Yeah,
But then if we really have to dig in,
correct.
I mean, I guess I like that combination. If we could do a job once instead of 10 times or something like that, if it helps us. I mean, if we need to do it again, certainly, but if we could, prevent that, I think that would be nice.
Well, I think, and I think this point, and I think Ann's point is probably good too, and the essence is that it just needs to be addressed. Whether you choose to do it this year or next year or sometime in the future, you certainly have that opportunity. And trust me with this, with almost everything that we're going to talk about here, the really issue is going to have to be, it has to be refined, and Matt's going to have to look at it from a legal perspective to see what the wording needs to be and present that formally back to the city council for final approval. So whatever that language would be, the intent would be is if the city council simply said, yeah, let's let Matt over the next 2 or 3 months, whatever that might be, to kind of group up, get some ideas, provide a draft resolution, present it back to the city council, and the city council says, yeah, we can make this work, this fits, we can modify it a little bit, and that will become something to go into the new purchasing policy. Perfect. That
Right,
was
I think
really
that's
the
a good
intent.
idea, because then that protects everybody who's on the council and everybody who works for the city, that it's just, transparent and know that they're not doing something with their family or to benefit their business. So I think that's a good idea for Matt to come up with that. And
Yeah. And as long as you're okay with that, everybody gives me a head nod that says, yeah, I'm comfortable with that approach, then the action that Matt and I will take from this discussion would be we'll turn it over to Matt. He certainly has access to the information I shared, and let him take a month or two and kind of draft up a draft policy under a resolution that we can make some adjustments to our purchasing policy. You okay with all that?
Yes.
totally fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you, Mayor.
Then we'll take that as an action to move forward. Okay. Council, one other thing, actually two other things. It'd be interesting to get your thoughts on this. And so you don't think this is a last minute thing. Matt will tell you, we've talked about term limits and putting this discussion in front of you probably for 2 years now. It's been a long time in coming. We've had a lot more pressing issues that were being considered and certainly looked at. So this is not new in coming. It's new because you're seeing it. But the intent of this was really to kind of just frame a conversation that talks about, is term limits useful? Now, let me just make a couple of observations that I've had over the last 10 or 12 years I've been doing something like this. I'm going to be frank. Not frank that I know, but frank in terms of my opinion. What I found was, and if you lived in Roy for a long period of time, there was a time when I was a teenager, and certainly I don't want to date myself, but when this teenager is that the only reason I went to Ogden is because I went to Ogden to run my little hot rod up and down Washington Boulevard. I mean, that's the only reason why you go down there. You're running between streetlights. There was nothing else in Ogden that I really had any interest in.
Is
and
that
by
the
the
same
way,
thing as dragging the Vard?
Yeah, dragging the Vard. And I lived in Clearfield. I lived in Sunset. I didn't live in Roy at that time. I went to Clearfield High and graduated there. But we went to Ogden to basically drive the boulevard. But if we wanted anything, we came to Roy. Roy had it. Had the shopping. It had all the stuff. I mean, it was a great, and it still is a great town, but it had all the stuff that a 18-year-old, 19-year-old ever needed. And this is right, even more than I had in my little Clearfield place. The bottom line is that it never changed. It kind of just stayed that way, and it didn't adjust. And that's okay, but to be honest with you, I lived here when we started to see the changes that were happening in Riverdale. We've seen the changes that were taking place in Clinton. We've seen the changes that are unfolding in West Haven. And it always curious over the last few years that I've been here is, why did Roy not adapt and make those changes as well? Because it was the center. I mean, there was a Smith's downtown. There was a movie house downtown. For those of us who've been around here a long time, this is really the hot spot. And it sit until the theater walked away, and it was a dollar theater, if I remember right. It had great popcorn. It's interesting I say that to you because I drove from Clearfield, okay? The bottom line is that it stayed and never adapt. And when I got into, as a city council member, first heard about it as a planning commissioner. So it's kind of an interesting connection. The planning commission, kind of the guidance is that this is a bedroom community and it will always be a bedroom community. And I don't think I even knew what that meant, council. Had no idea. But I'm telling you, in my opinion, it's stagnated, okay, the potential of what Roy could do and where it could be. Not that it still can't be a nice bedroom community, but it also needed to evolve. So I remember when I drove down Riverdale Road, and I remember clearly as I drove down the River Road, and I can't tell you which street I turned off, but I would turn to the left, and I'd go in there, and I basically just picked beans. And for 25 cents, I get this bucket full of beans, and that was a great income for me. You know, back in those days, 25 cents a gallon of gas was pretty good, but, you know, 25 cents a pound for those beans, I was doing pretty darn good. I seen it was just two-lane road. Today, there are 7-lane road going through Riverdale. I witnessed all that. Seen it with my own eyes. And here's the focus of my comment. It is the city council that sets the framework to the future of this city, in any city. You are the vision. You are it. And so I think it's healthy. We just had a city council member not too long ago didn't get through the election, but he had 20 years as a city council member in Roy City. And he told me in my face, okay, as a city council member, and he simply says Roy City is a bedroom community, will always be a bedroom community. And I thought Roy City could be more than that. It can be more than that. It just needs to be managed, and for whatever reason, it didn't get changed. So sometimes there's an argument that suggests is that every 8 years or every 12 years, and I give you some samples in here from other cities, that just bringing some new life, new ideas to the city can really help move the city in a direction that the population needs to go. Some things, honestly, need to stay, pretty much so, but there are other things they can. I remember very clearly a council member, when I was a city council member, telling me right to my face, I'm never going to allow alcohol in the city. Right to my face. I had another one, in fact, I had two, right to my face, I will never approve a chicken ordinance. Never. And I will tell you, okay, when that chicken ordinance issue came up, this entire room was full, standing in the back and outside when that conversation at a city council meeting coming. And there were 1,500 people signing a referendum that wanted to put that on the ballot. And they said they weren't going to do it. And I remember very clearly, for those of you who still remember that I provide you white papers, I gave every council member a white paper that says, history says this. Only a fraction of the people who are in this room advocating chickens will ever want chickens. And as you look at it across the country where this same similar situation came, it was never about the chickens. Never. It was the right to choose. And that's why they were signing the referendum. That's the reason why they just want a right to choose. And Matt, I will tell you, since I was the city councilman when that was approved, I think I remember asking the question after the city council voted, and by the way, the one person who simply says, I do not want chickens in my city, that individual did not vote for it, but the majority did. And after all that was done, and it was certainly in the white paper that I gave the city, and it's on the public record, I believe there were 6, maybe 8 people come into the city and ask for a permit. 1,500 people signed that referendum saying, I'm going to put it on the ballot, but only 6 or 8 people actually come in and ask for a permit, and I almost guarantee you they would probably had that permit for about a year or 2 years, and then says, nah, raising chickens is hard, and certainly not worth it. And I always thought, and my paper pointed out, I thought it was the old guys like me. I mean, back in my days, having chickens was a big thing. Us older people didn't want chickens. We don't like them. They're too hard. The ones that wanted chickens was the younger ones. Something about health, something about cage-free. What are we talking about here, okay? These were people that were basically saying, I want chickens because I want to control my intake. They were the ones who wanted the chickens. Us old people had no interest. It takes an opportunity to adapt and change. So term limits gives the city an opportunity as a whole to consider that. You've read my paper. There's a lot of information in there. I give you some samples of cities around Utah. These were just some. I wasn't going to research all the others. But there are some cities out there that basically have made the adjustments. There's some really good things here I think they brought out. I'm not asking you to basically suggest that we use my language, although I leaned a little bit from Clinton. But I will indicate to you, if you think it's worth at least exploring, then again, we'll turn this action over to Matt and frame a resolution, an idea that's more centered around maybe some ideas about term limits. Now, having said that, do you have any comments or questions?
I was just thinking how Washington Terrace in South Ogden, their mayor is on their 3rd term because there's no one that's running against them. So in that case, I feel that Roy is never going to have a problem with, I think that if somebody serves a term, they'll probably get voted out if the citizens don't like them. So I think that the citizens will be the ones that will do the term limits on us. I don't think we'll ever have a problem with people wanting to run for office, and I think that the citizens will be able, the ones that run the term limits. I mean, I see good on both sides. I mean, I think of it, like you said, new ideas and always new blood and new leadership, and so I see both sides. So I just think it's something good that we need to discuss because I see both sides of it. So.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And Mark Allen's a good friend of mine. He's been a mayor for 24 years.
Yeah.
Nobody's running against him.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, what can you say?
I know, and Russ is on his third term, so.
Same thing with like Washington Terrace. They only have 2 people that are running for 2 council seats. So congratulations, the 2 people that put in will be effectively appointed.
There you go.
Yeah.
And one of those was requested because nobody
Nobody
had
else
signed up.
had, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's certainly a
Yeah.
concern.
But even with the asking, it's definitely going to provide, for them, it's going to provide maybe new ideas. Just get somebody new.
It's like anything you do in life. You know, a new principal. I forgot to say, we have our principal here from Roy High, back in the corner. Every time we get a new admin or a new principal or even a church calling, it's always new ideas and you know, and it's always good to kind of refresh things. But I don't think our city will have a problem with getting new people in there. I think the days of being in there for 20 years, I don't think that's going to happen anymore.
Yeah, I mean, sorry. No, I'm not against term limits,
Yeah.
but I mean, it feels, again, not that this was like done at the last minute, but we technically have 5 of the 6 seats of the governing council that are up for play right now.
Right.
And so, I mean, I think we should, again, because are we still looking to do like a survey or are we still interested in doing a survey? We should put this as a survey question. What's your opinion of term limits? Do you think term limits should be something that a council and a mayor seat should actually have? And then, again, put it out to the people. And again, I would be, if they came back and said, yes, that's the direction we want to go, I would be perfectly fine putting it out there as,
Right.
you know, something to more broadly discuss.
Yeah, I mean, I wish we had term limits in, you know, the government.
Right.
I don't know how much it will affect Little Roy City, I mean, anymore, but in our government, I would totally be with term limits, but, you know, I mean.
And that was an interesting point because I know that a lot of times I think, you know, federal or state, it would be nice to have term limits. And so I was wondering, you know, what's the difference? What would be different having term limits in a city versus state and federal?
Correct.
And as I was researching that, I certainly came up with a list of different things, but the most interesting piece of information I got about 20 minutes before I came here, I'd had some phone calls into the ULCT and to get some of their ideas. And I spoke with Justin Lee, and he was at the state elections office for 11 years and has worked with the attorney generals there and has worked with ULCT, has had multiple questions about this. And the main concern, he said, actually is that it probably is just illegal and that we can't do it. And I thought that was very interesting. So he sent me a copy. He said that the code, the legislature has given specific requirements and that these requirements include what is to be included and that the legislature has not been silent on this issue and that adding term limits would be a concern because then anything else could be added. And he said that although he was aware of a few cities that had adopted those in their city council or in their city laws, he said that if they were brought to court, that they probably really just couldn't defend them, and that that at a city level, that the state is the one that makes those rules. So I thought that was very interesting because, you know, I was collecting the pros and cons, and he said that that probably was, you probably wasted a lot of effort in that because the state actually doesn't allow that, or it would be very difficult. So if we had other questions, we could certainly talk with him again, but
But
That's
I
what
would
he
also
mentioned.
say, and that's an interesting point, certainly would
Yeah.
require that, but every one of the cities that adopted have access to a city attorney, and I think before that would ever got approved, that would have been flushed out.
Yeah,
So,
interesting, huh?
Yeah, because there are a number of cities, I just pointed out 3, but there are other cities that
Right.
actually have that in
Yeah.
their ordinance.
So I was just thinking that maybe what we should do is just take that next step before we go further to see where that really does fit. It was just interesting. You know, I'd been writing up what the pros and cons were.
It's okay. My wife has given me a term limit, so you know.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
okay. I'm okay.
Right. I mean, some of the concerns in some of the documentation is that cities shouldn't have term limits versus state and federal, just because they're nonpartisan, they're closer to the population. But then they also say, you know, the pros would have already been discussed. But apparently that doesn't really matter at this point. So I don't know, Attorney Wilson, I'm sorry, I just got this information right as I was walking in. I guess they've been on interim and couldn't get back to me until then. What do you see our next step in regards to that?
I think we could just do some research, and I mean, I see his point that you could be adding another qualification and saying you're not qualified based on that, whereas the state has specifically stated what are the requirements for someone to be qualified. But I'd need to do some more research because you also do have the authority to govern your own body and community. So I just need to do some research and see what the interplay there is.
All
Yeah,
right.
because maybe he meant term limits like for like the mayor, like Ogden City, isn't he the only one around here is like a full-time, I mean, that's his job. All the rest are just part-time. So maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, the mayor of Clearfield happens to be a board member of the National League of Cities. And if you read the information I pointed out, 15% of cities within the nation place a term limit on both the mayor and the city council members. 15%. And so I certainly would indicate that you have to look and research the legal side of this, and I think that's important. But, you know, not everybody is willing to do it, but when you get 15% of all the cities that are in the National League of Cities and Towns, that's a lot of cities in this country that have established term limits in terms of their elected officials. So, and to that point, just so there's no confusion, we put a term limit on our planning commissioners. Yeah, they can run it 3 times, okay?
I don't know if elected officials were different than that. We started talking, but I just didn't have time to go that far because, you know, city council was starting.
Well, just that we put it in because, as Matt says, you passed a law that basically says I'm going to allow it to handle 3 times. Maybe they want to be a planning commissioner again. I mean, certainly we've had some incredible planning commissioners who were literally, in all fairness, forced out because they hit the term limit.
I think the difference there is so it could vary from state to state as well, where they just allow it up to each city to determine what the qualifications are, but there's no qualifications at the state level on a planning commissioner, whereas there are qualifications for any elected positions.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And you're right, Matt. I think the state laws will help us in guiding that. But I've not read anything in the state laws. But remember, I said there were thousands of them that indicates that they have mandated that you can't have term limits. If they did, I don't think we'd see the cities that already have them on the books would be able to retain that, or at least it'd be challenged in court. But I think, Diane, to your point, it's certainly worthy of going back and seeing if there's any laws that restrict it, and then what is as an incorporation, what are the laws in terms of allowing the incorporation to make its own decisions, as long as it follows state and federal laws. So
I'll forward it to you, okay, Matt? And then you can touch base with him, and
and have him get if you're
fairly-
talking about the one that's in Utah, the League of Cities and Towns, then they are members and connected directly with the National League. cities and towns, and have them check that in terms of that if you're going to ask them. Because again, I took their number right out of their site.
Okay.
15% of the cities in the country are basically have term limits, so that's a lot of cities.
Right, and see where that fits in for Utah, because he said he'd just been doing some research on it for another city that was contemplating it, and so I'll forward that to you. Okay.
Okay, so where do we go from here? What do you want to do?
I think we just said research.
Yeah, I think maybe if we can just ask Attorney Wilson to see how much more effort we should put into this and see where that fits.
Okay.
Gosh, we're just dumping things on your plate right and left.
If I can a little bit, there's another attorney in the building who has actually already done research on this just out of curiosity, so I think we might be further along than
Okay.
we think we are.
Okay, great, thanks.
Okay, Brody, thanks. Okay, so once the research come back yay or nay, then your comment was put it on a survey.
Yeah.
You think that would be the approach to go forward?
Yeah, no, and especially like I said, since we've got 5 of the 6 governing seats up for election, it's going to be a topic of discussion as we're going out and meeting with constituents. And so let's just, gauge it from that perspective. It would be my,
Okay.
Yeah.
what would be what I would feel comfortable with. And then whoever the new incoming council is next year.
They're going to be addressing it or dealing
Yeah.
with it anyway.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a
And
good
I think
idea.
that's more like timing-wise feels more correct because it'll happen after an election has occurred, and there'll
Oh, yeah.
be 2 years to turn around and
Okay.
Yeah.
Mayor, is there any way, before you go on to the next discussion item, that our student council member needs to leave and he wanted to say something first, and
Oh.
so is there any way he could talk for a minute and then he could be excused?
You bet, Aaron. Thank you. Okay.
go for Aaron.
I would just like to thank you guys today for letting me come and be here today. But we just have a few things to talk about like our homecoming week and then just some points that we have at Roy High. But we started our homecoming week on the 14th, which is Sunday, with the intersection painting, and we had Officer Trescott there to help us like block it off. So block 4800 off, so we're safe and we don't like die or get hit by a car. And we got done around like 9. It went pretty well. It's the intersection that like goes into Roy High, and then of course 48,000, and then 4,800. I mean, and then on Monday we had our super assembly, and that was at 9, just going over homecoming and our like homecoming candidates. And then Tuesday, which is today, we had just a popsicles and chill event at Roy in our commons. And then tomorrow we have sidewalk chalk over by our weight room. Then Thursday we have our homecoming parade, and that starts at Roy Junior. And then it will go to the Roy High parking lot. And then after that, at 8, we have our pep rally and bonfire. And our pep rally just hyping everyone up, getting ready for the homecoming game. And then our bonfire will be in our practice field, and we're burning wood B just to represent Bonneville that we're playing on our practice field.
Effigy. All right.
And then on Fridays, our homecoming game, of course. And then Saturdays, our homecoming dance. And that'll be at Roy High 2 at 8. And then we also...
Parade?
The parade starts at 7.
Okay.
Yes. And then with that, we're going to have fireworks at the homecoming game. And we have put out papers to like the surrounding homes and like neighborhoods, just letting them know that there's going to be fireworks and a fire, of course. So then they're not like, there's fire.
Yeah.
And we have got that approved and everything. But a question I have for you guys with one of my partners, Henrik Colbert, is do you guys have any service projects that we could help you guys do or attend in upcoming months or time frame?
It's definitely
have
going to
a
be.
long list.
And you
We could-
guys, unless you see something in the public safety side, more than likely it's going to be Michelle, you, and Brandon. Anything you see on the horizon that you need some help? I know we just got through the one citywide service project. Anything else you can see?
Boy, how can we turn that down, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure I can talk to my superintendents. I'm sure we can figure something out if you have some volunteers.
Okay, that'd be great.
Definitely utilize you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so could you work that through Matt? Matt, would you take that as an action? And then he can direct, okay, maybe something that comes up back to you and you can get it out to your group. That work?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, Aaron, perfect.
Okay, and then we'd also like to talk about, we have this thing at Roy, it's called We Are One. One stands for ownership, nobility, and excellence, and it just is like how we just operate at Roy High, because we want everyone to be like, have ownership of Roy High, and be noble and have excellence, of course. And that's just kind of like our saying and like how we try to live our life here at Roy. But with that said, I do have shirts for you guys that I'd like to give you guys, if that is okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I wrote your names
Pass
on
them
all
on.
the tags, so, so if you read your name, then take it. So
Take one,
hopefully I
pass it
got your
down.
size right. Put yours down here, and then pass it.
All the way to the end.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, there we are.
Brian? Randy?
Honor. Thank you.
That was yours?
No problem.
Thank
Thank
that
you.
was you, Brian.
Yeah.
I'm the medium husky.
Aaron, thank you. Anything else you want to share with us?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, it's good to have you. Please come back.
Yes.
I'm usually not this long-winded, and we'll tell you differently. But the key would be is that we really do appreciate you coming, and most important, if you would, take the conversations that we're having. They're important to us. Take that kind of detail back, and please come back to us, okay, about what's happening in your great school. What can we do better? What kinds of things do you think is important? Let us know what you're thinking and what your teams are thinking to help us. Certainly, and I share this with you, Aaron, because I believe this. I've talked to a lot of my fellow mayors in Weber County. I don't think there's a city that is closer, okay, to their high school as Roy is to Roy High. Roy management, Roy government, I am telling you, we are lockstep together in everything. I think that's a good way to be, because to be very blunt with you, Aaron, you're the future. Whether you choose to live here or not, you're the future. And if you can have a voice in government, if you can help us to steer the right direction, if you can help us to understand what your generation is thinking, then it helps us to make much more and better informed decisions. Then I will challenge you at some point in your life, join a city council. Run for city council, run for mayor, be part to help make the difference from all that you've learned from this. So it's good to have you. Please come back often.
Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Aaron. Thank you.
Yep. He's serious. So Roy High graduate can sit on council because I'm one.
Yeah, and so can a Clearfield High graduate.
You saw where I was going with that, Mayor.
Bye.
Okay, thanks, Ann, for helping us make sure we got Aaron out. Okay, I think we got some directions where we go with the term limit discussion. Last one on my part before we go to Brian. You have a traffic calming device policy. It's in front of you. Hopefully you had a chance to read that.
Yes.
The intent of that was really more along the same lines that we do with lots of other things that are happening within our city. At this moment, and you've seen this quite a bit, you get inquiries. I get them, you get them. People are really concerned about high-speed traffic through their neighborhoods. And there's really never been a mechanism, okay, that we've been able to use. You went up there and says, I'm really concerned about the safety of families and children, particularly going across 4,000 over by the library. What did you do?
Put in that sign.
You put in
flashing crosswalk.
Yeah, flashing. You had some concerns with what's happening on 4300 down by Emma Russell. What'd you do?
Same thing.
Yeah, and you also had issues and thoughts about 4400, as you basically put a speed indicator there. You certainly have done it on 6000. There's a variety of things that you basically have done, but what makes that so interesting is it happened right here. It happened here because somebody stepped up to the pulpit and basically says, I got a problem. And you fixed it. Well, we have problems. We see them all the time. The challenge is some of the city's residents may not feel comfortable to stand up in front of you. Others might. But one of the things we have seen over and over again was people are concerned about speeding in their neighborhoods, going faster than 25 miles an hour. So what we tried to do, and by the way, this has been reviewed heavily by Brandon, because if you can tell in the reading, Public Works takes a significant role in this policy. The intent would be can we establish a policy that basically says if a neighborhood wants to come in and simply say, we need to solve this problem, then here's a checklist that you follow. And if it meets the standard and the requirements, then bring it back to the city council and let's make it happen. But at least they get the homework done so that you can go up there and make an informed decision. And more importantly, although Brandon probably doesn't like the idea of puts more burden on him, but at least it's going to be structured in such a way that the information you get is going to work for him if he's been asked by this council to implement a strategy. Now, I will tell you this is significantly different than the one I submitted. But Brandon and Matt and Brody looked it over and said, Mayor, we can't do this. We can't do that. And they literally scrubbed this down quite a bit to what you see here. And the best I can tell you would be is they feel at least comfortable they can execute this draft plan and to finalize it if you believe this is something you'd like to move forward with. So any questions or comments relative to this particular document?
Do you want to get into like maybe some specific sort of things?
Whatever you like. Go ahead, Diane.
All right. I was just, yeah, this is a lot of work. Wow.
Yeah, it's really a good document.
So much, Mayor. There were a few things that I was wondering in regards to some things. I don't know if this is the place to go into, you know, this line on this paragraph and something like that. So some of the basic concepts would be in regards to having having it available for everyone, like as a checklist. Some of the concerns as I was investigating this is sometimes that can put an increased risk of liability for a city, and especially where we have funding issues, and then and it decreases flexibility. So as we write it, which, by the way, I want you to know I really appreciate the way you were respectful of the budget and talked about how it, you know, at number 6, you know, given that there's a limited amount of money, the budget, you know, and the ranking of the prioritization. So I think that helps with some of that. But is there a way to do this, you know, maybe a pre-screening or something like that, so everyone isn't just going through as a checklist? One of the questions I had in regards to the 85th percentile, a couple times it was used. One of them is on page 6, and then again on the table on page 8 where it talks about the scoring chart. And again, I don't know if we're getting into detail that maybe we should just talk about later. It talks about 85th percentile, and you know, a lot of times we use that when we're checking speeds to decide what the proper speed should be. And so would this be more of an 85th percentile, and then, you know, because does that mean that we should be changing the speed then instead of using it as a point assessment for a speed hump? Yeah, I mean, you know, so I was wondering maybe we could just look at that just a little bit to see where that fits in. I think one of the biggest concern I had would be the neighborhood committee being able to have a consensus on the plan. Not that we don't want them to have an input, but that could go back and forth and open up maybe a can of worms, and maybe the idea should be that we provide them and they accept or reject that. And that might be a little more useful and helpful. And then the idea of them being able to remove it too soon. Of some cities that I had looked at, some of their traffic calming devices said that they had to be there at least a minimum of 2 months, or 2 years, had to be there a minimum of 2 years, because they are very expensive. And if they wanted something done sooner, you know, or maybe we could change the time of that, you know, who would pay for that removal of that if they changed their mind after a short period of time? A couple of little things I'm kind of scattered here because I don't know to what extent the detail should be, but I think that it's nice for us to have a guideline that we can use and maybe do that in a way to help us as city council, but then still allow a little bit of flexibility. And so there are just a few like specific things like that, but thank you very much. And you know, maybe this isn't the forum to go into all those
Well,
details.
Diane, it's a discussion item, but I like your comments. The sense is that there could very well be some room to help clarify or modify if we need to. And I'm okay with that. I think that's how the process works. May I suggest is that if you were to take the document that was sent to you, or I can send you an updated one, or this one, and just redline it. Say, hey, I think I'd like to have a little more here and do there. We could collectively put that together. If the council is agreeable that this may be a good solution, then let's spend the next month or two just modifying it a bit, just see if we can get it to before it ever comes back to you as a resolution for your final approval. Because I think there's some opportunity for wordsmithing. I think there's some clarity that can provide it there. The purpose of the 85th percentile, to be honest with you, was only to measure to find out whether or not we've got a problem or not. Remember, in this document, we're saying is the traffic calming device we think is the best interest to Roy City, and Brandon validated this, is a speed hump. It is by far the best solution if we're going to do something. A lot of the other, I had lots of other ones in here, but they're complicated, they're expensive. There's a lot of things. This one seems to be the best. So I think to that point, if it's a 25-mile-an-hour zone and speed humps will only be found in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, no other place, it has to stay 25 miles. That's the residential component. So now, if you've got cars going down there 35, 45, and 85% of that percentile is pushing it over 5 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour, Diane, we have a problem. There's a problem because most of the people, we've seen this on 6,000 on the lower end. Brandon, you pulled the data from me, and Matt, you shared it with me. We were documenting on that particular road, okay, we had it posted at 25. We were showing 75% of the vehicles on 6,000 below 3,500, 85% of those, okay, were over the speed limit. So, I mean, it wasn't like they were way over the speed limit. I was looking at the data, and I says, my heavens, it's sending a clear message. This needs to be at least 30 miles an hour. And council, you looked at the data, and you approved to raise that speed limit to 30 because people were traveling 30 miles an hour. And I'll bet you Brandon's data would show it today that it's pretty darn accurate. That's where it should have been, and it was changed. But here's the secret. This can only happen, this mitigation strategy can only happen at 25-mile-an-hour zones. And we can't go up there and put these speeds higher than 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And so if we're showing that people are driving too fast, then rather than raising the speed limit, which is what we've done, we did it on 4,000, we did it on 4,400, we did it on 4,300 West, we did it on 6,000. We're not going to change the speed, so now we slow the traffic down. And how do you do that? This proposal base says put a speed hump in there. And that gives you the data that simply says I can justify it and we can support it. And then we just look for funding. And all Brandon needs is simply show him a funding source that basically can do it, and he'll make it happen. So it gives you that kind of a tool, but here's the best part. The policy would say is, if there really is a desire, and it's not an individual desire, it's a group of residents that says, hey, we've had enough, then join us together, come in here, let's celebrate and find a solution. And if they can show the documentation that basically says we got a problem and we think we do, then that can be one of the tools you can use to make the final decision whether it goes or doesn't go. My fear right now is, and you've seen this, council, you get a lot of emotion across that mic. And it's serious emotion. We've seen it, we've witnessed it. And you gotta realize that this is how people feel. Then back it up with the data. Show me the data.
Yeah.
Prove that we got a problem, and then we'll invest the thousands of dollars that it takes to make this work. And that's what we want to do. So when they come to you in a public meeting and they basically say to you, this says, hey, I think there's an opportunity here, then you got the data to support it. But more importantly, council, and this is the heart of this, then the community agrees. Yeah. Because if it's just one or two people that says, hey, I need to have this, then thank you. But let's don't get everybody left out of this. Let's get the community and let them involved to help say this is the right answer, rather than going up there, which we've seen before. The city takes the leap, we make the change, it was the wrong change, And then we get years of comment, okay, that simply says, man, this is just terrible. And you know what? They were right. That traffic calming device that was put in at that location was terrible. Should never have went in that way. And it got changed, and it cost us for that change. If you're okay with moving forward, then we can refine this. Send us your ideas. Send us your comments, word changes, things that you think should be added, things maybe shouldn't take out. And if you'll send us what you're thinking, sometime before the end of the year or maybe first of the new year, we can put a policy in front of you that council can consider and approve. Remember, it isn't legal until you take the vote. But if you think there might be opportunity to do something here, then use this as kind of a template for us to move forward. You okay with that?
Yeah, I think so. Would this be a place for maybe like a subcommittee type thing where, so we can have back and
Can be.
forth a little bit, you know, because it is a pretty amazing sort of thing.
Well, it's
Get
very
a couple of-
important.
Get
Yeah.
a couple of city council members and maybe.
We can do
decide
that.
If we want to stretch that out to others or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess, again, you know, the mayor's responsibility is to assign committee members. Your responsibility is to find how you want to move forward. So if you're saying is, hey, I'd like to get a couple of council members together with the city manager, with the public works director, with the mayor, and we'd like to refine this, okay, in a way that works, then if you give me that assignment, I'll take that assignment as an action, and then we'll put a committee to kind of refine this as we move forward. Does that sound okay for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'd be great. So I'd volunteer to be one of the city council members on it, just because I've already been working.
I will send out a notification to you and ask you for you to do it. If you'd like to be part of a committee that supports that, and we'll take that input and we'll assess the other committees you're assigned to and make sure we spread the wealth. But I think that's a wonderful idea, and certainly we'll get together a couple of times between now and the end of the year in terms of refining this. Okay?
Great. Thank you.
You okay with that? Okay. Okay, next one is utilizing land sale purchase surplus monies for Roy Fire Training Center. Brian, I think you're going to lead this conversation.
Thanks, Mayor. When we initially sold the land, we never really discussed where to go. And so I thought this would be a great opportunity to use those one-time dollars for something permanent, like the Roy Training Center that the chief had brought to our attention. Probably it's been a couple of months. But anyway, by doing so and providing the remaining fund balance to get it started, which would be about $75,000, give or take, we'd be able to take advantage of the $27,000 that's already been committed to it. We'd also be able to take advantage of the fire being able to receive an apparatus that would allow them to train locally versus having to go out of the city for training. It would also go to serve all of us here, because we keep approving developments that are townhomes that are all multi-level. And so if we're really going to count on our firefighters, let's give them the equipment they need. Again, the land surplus money was never designated for a certain cause. I can't think of a better one than public safety. To help, we could recognize those that have committed funds through a plaque that could be attached to the center. and if they so desire to be mentioned. Anyway, I wrestled with this when it was first brought to our attention. I mentioned then that the council should help. And so I'm bringing it before you as a discussion item to see if I can get some love. And that's it.
Let's see, make sure I got that last word. So you can get some love? Is that what I heard you say?
I said love.
Okay, I'll let Chief let you figure that one out, okay? Okay. Council, comments?
They're unlocked now.
Oh.
Yeah, they were locked. They're unlocked now.
They're unlocked? Okay, yeah, thanks for that. We want to keep it open, public meeting. Yeah. Okay. Comments? Comments, council? You got an idea on the table. Let's discuss it.
I like it. I'm in favor of it. It fits my personal criteria for use of one-time funds, because this is an excellent use of those funds. So
I think that it sounds nice, but I'm a little hesitant right now because of our financial challenges. Maybe keep the idea on hold, on a back burner, and see what kind of happens through the rest of the year while we're kind of getting things sorted out. Because, maybe timing or stuff like that, but, certainly it meets criteria for one-time use things and stuff like that. And we definitely, have had a lot of work in regards to raising that money, which we appreciate all of your efforts and the firefighter efforts. So I'm thinking, I'm a little reticent for right now, maybe give it some time, but.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I mean, I talked to Theron about this yesterday, and he's just been fundraising for 6 months, and says he has a lot more places, that he's going to ask. And I mean, I have some places I want to hit up for money also. I just think, it's a good idea we could bring it up maybe next year. But then I look at the police department that's short on bullets, and I just think of other departments that are going to just maybe say, well, we could use money for this or use money for that. I just think, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, because I think that we just need to look at it and talk about it again. But I think we just can't, say we're going to do it right now, because like Diane said, we just need to kind of, with our budget and everything, and then work with Theron on, he's going to be getting he just said he just got a donation, and I'm going to hit up some people for him. And I just think that, but I think I want to give you some love, Brian. But I think that you have a good heart, and I know that your heart's in the right place and you want to help. And I'm not saying that I don't want to. I'm just saying, but we just need to discuss it and then look at it again after the first of the year. So
I would agree.
Sophie?
Yeah, so our budget currently the way it is, I'm not comfortable with it, but I do think we can focus our efforts together as team effort and really help Theron fundraise and get it out there. We did it once before with other projects in the city. I think we can do it again. So I think if we kind of see where this is coming from and put our efforts towards that and see what happens. We're pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. We make pretty good things come to fruition.
Right.
So
Okay.
Yeah.
Randy,
I
your
think so.
comments?
As I say, I'm definitely timing-wise. I mean, yes, there are some budgetary concerns. Again, it does meet my criteria for appropriate use of one-time funds. But again, in lieu of what's going on with, our budget, the election, things of that nature, maybe it is more appropriate to wait until after the first of the year.
And it's sad because you said that with the tariffs, how it's gone up probably, what, $20,000-$30,000 now in price. Yeah.
Brian, I definitely feel the love, but just, yeah, I just called the manufacturer today. We're getting bids from quite a few, and with the tariffs, the cost did go up $50,000. So that goes into a lot of different things, the metal work and stuff like that. But I'm advocating, just like the other Brian, this is where I feel like this is a trap because
I didn't mean
that, I know, but that is an awesome and generous and something that we desperately need. But there's everyone in this room sitting by me, my friends, who are in a bad spot too, that could use the funds. And we're no more important really than Michelle or Brandon and the police. So I would just ask that you give me some more time and let me exhaust as much of the donations as possible. One caveat to this that I was told today that what we're trying to do is raise enough money that we can lock in the price. And that price is half of the total amount. And so I'd like to get as close to that as we can. And hopefully we see things maybe stabilize as costs. If I see a huge fluctuation, we're trying to get the best training facility within our limited budget. But I promise you, I would love to take the offer and advocate for it, but I have to go with the recommendation of the other council members that maybe we hold off for now, allow me to explore that. I think that's really a good idea with the given situation. I would like to advocate, if you do want to give one-time money, it's dispersed among all of us, but with this current conditions, I don't think that's the best option right now, but hopefully that maybe down the road in a year or so that we can maybe have the city help us with that, so.
Well,
I know.
No, I got news for all the council. I'll be here next year.
That's true.
Good.
So I'll bring it back up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? But yeah, that's kind of where the current condition is, but I'm hoping that we can keep a lot of good momentum going. Maybe we'll have some slowdown through the holidays, but we got some more effort to make, so.
I have a quick comment on, I think, would you mind if each one of us contacted you and said, here's some options, have you reached out, so that we're not bombarding or taking over,
You mean
what
hitting
you've
up
already
the same
done?
donors?
Yeah.
You mean you wouldn't want to hit up the same donors? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Right. So if there's somebody I'm thinking about, like, and we can reach out to you, do you care if we all do that?
Not
And
at
kind of
all.
take on that challenge for
Right.
all of us to say,
That's
hey,
great.
I've got some contacts, whether anything comes of it, but here's some contacts and here's who we can reach out to. Maybe you can give us a letter or document that we can share.
I have all that yet.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be
I would
great.
love
Thank
that.
you, Brian. I
Yes.
appreciate it. Promise
Brian,
you.
thank you for inspiring us
Right.
with some momentum. Thank you very much.
I want you to know I thought a couple of times about changing the name on the document of who it's being proposed by. So, but I'll live with it. And like I said, God willing, I'll be here next year.
Okay, Brian, thank you. Okay, and please don't change your name on the documents. The one thing about it, Brian, is that you continually bring a good perspective, okay, to the council in terms of your ideas and things you're involved in. So please keep doing what you do best. Okay, those were certainly the discussion items. Council, I'm going to take advantage of the comment that was made earlier. I think that's a good point before Matt. I'd go for a motion to basically go into a closed door. I'd like to have the city manager and council report. Let's go ahead and do that. I think that's a wonderful idea. And then we'll have to excuse everybody and we'll go into a closed door meeting. So please, Matt.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor. I just actually have a couple of things for tonight. Emma Russell Park, the trail around the park is going to be closed for the next week. We're just doing maintenance down there to replace that trailway. The complex, as you know, is now open, the winter hours. Dumpsters down at Public Works is going to be held at the September 29th through October 4th. That's Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then Saturday, we're going to be open 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. As you know, we've separated that out, so we do a week at a time. So there's one more day after this as well in the fall. And then last but not least, Fire Prevention Night, October 8th, 5:30 to 9 p.m., so save that date.
Thank you, Matt. Council, anything you want to share? Anything you feel is important you want to share with the council?
I have a quick, just a comment from the Boys and Girls Club presentation. I've been able to be on their board for the past 4 years and proud to be with a group of people that really care about the success of students and kids and the programs, the academic, the leadership, the healthy lifestyles that they promote. He didn't actually touch on it, but they have a new food program they've started this last year. And the amount of food that they have been able to bring in and to feed those kids that sometimes don't have anything after school, it has been an amazing piece to be part of. So super proud of them, and I cannot wait to see the new, I remember when he brought me the plans and we were looking through it, I was like, that's big.
Right.
That's really big.
Yeah.
And they're gonna love it. The kids are gonna absolutely love it. And so super excited, super proud to be such a part of such a program.
Great comment. Thank you, Sophie.
So I just wanted to make a comment on the mosquito abatement that there have been some West Nile virus. And so if you live somewhere where there's lots of mosquitoes, just call them, and they've been mostly west of us spraying like a lot because of the mosquitoes that are coming out right now. And then also, I just wanted to make a comment about the mayor, because I don't know if I heard you're going to be fishing or hunting or something in October, and you might not be back for another meeting. And I just wanted to thank you for letting me serve with you for the last 5 years. And I think that you have been a great mayor, and you have really accomplished. I mean, when you read the list of everything as a council that you said that we have accomplished, I mean, more than any other council in previous years. And if it wasn't for your leadership, and we wouldn't have been able to accomplish what we did. And I just wanted to thank you for your service and your friendship. And I know we don't always see eye to eye on everything, but I do really respect you as a mayor, and I think you've done a great job. And I just wanted to thank you publicly.
Thank you, Ann.
So.
Thank you. Thanks.
Are you
I
done
do.
for the-
I
are you
do
done for
plan
the
to
year?
come back at
Okay,
least
I was
one
just-
more meeting.
Well,
but-
at least one more.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
will indicate to you, it's going to get. We got a lot of commitments coming, but bottom line is going to be is we're not expected to probably meet on November 4th.
Yeah, 'cause of
That's
the
election night.
Yep. Right.
Good chance we will not meet in December, except we have to meet at least the first meeting. We probably won't meet the second one, so now we're down to literally one meeting in November and one meeting in December. And so as we wind down the year, you will find that we're going to be this meeting's going to compete with a lot of personal things. You got Thanksgiving meetings you got to attend, you got Christmas you got to attend, lots of things going on. And so obviously the important thing would be is we've got still things to do to finish, but certainly my role is going to shift significantly. But more importantly, I think is that the momentum of what we need to do needs to continue. So Ann, thank you so much. Obviously it's been an interesting journey. 12 years when I'm done, okay. 2 years planning commission, 2 years city council, 8 years as mayor. It has been an interesting journey, and I'll have more to say to Brittany when I give her my mayor's monthly newsletter in November. Actually, it's almost done, so we'll have it ready for you. So thanks, Ann. Appreciate your comments. Okay, council, we have one last thing we need to do tonight. I need to have a motion then to enter a closed-door meeting. And as Matt Wilson indicated, we need to define clearly what this meeting is about. It's strategic discussion on potential sale of real property. That's the title of that. So with that, do I have a motion then to enter a closed-door meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Randy. Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And this is, as we just heard in our meeting, this is a roll call vote. So Brittany, I didn't think it was, to be honest with you. But he said it was a roll call vote. I listened to what he says.
It is.
Yeah.
All right.
I said the same thing.
Councilmember Saxton,
Aye.
Councilmember Paul,
Aye.
Councilmember Jackson,
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson,
Aye.
Councilmember Scadden.
Aye.
Okay, we're going to go into a closed-door meeting. Thank you for joining us. This is obviously some important meetings. If you will just make sure you understand, no formal decision will be made unless it's in a public meeting. So what we come out of this meeting is just a closed-door discussion. The final decision will happen in a public meeting. Thank you for joining us tonight.